I am Dr. Sanap, Head Department of Botany, RBNB College, Rampur. Now I am going to deliver the lecture on the origin of Angiosperms, which is the part of the paper 4th of T.Y.B.Sc, that is Spermatophyta and Paleobotany. So here, origin of Angiosperms. So here, it is very difficult to mention the exact time, exact place, and the exact ancestors of the origin of angiosperm in the geological time scale. But on the basis of the different fossil studies and fossil records, many paleobotanists, they had tried to suggest the probable time, probable place, and the probable ancestors of the angiosperms in the geological time scale. And there are so many, so regarding the origin of angiosperms, there are so many theories were suggested by the different paleobotanists, like the Bennett-Titelian theory, Setonial's theory, Nittelian theory, Territorium theory, and so on. So here, all these ancestors of the angiosperm, they are suggested as the probable ancestors. Probable. So as the name indicates, that is the probable, that is this ancestors, they are not the direct ancestors, but on the basis of the different types of fossil studies, fossil records, many paleobotanists, they have tried to suggest their theories. So out of that, this is one theory, that is the pteridosperm theory. Now first, let us see what is meant by the pteridosperm. So this pteridosperm, it is the fossil group of plants. It is the fossil group of plants with the gymnosperm-like seed, and the pteridophyte-like leaves. Pteridophyte-like leaves. So thus here, this is a group of the plants having the gymnosperm-like seed and the pteridophyte-like plants. And that's why it is commonly called as the seed-bearing ferns. This group, it is commonly called as seed-bearing ferns. Actually, if we see the pteridophytes or pteridophytic plants, these are non-flowering plants. As these are the non-flowering, this plant, they does not produce the seeds. As they does not produce the seeds, they does not produce the fruits. And in this theory, this pteridosperm, pterido means pteridophyte. Pterido means pteridophyte. And the sperma means seeds. Sperma means seeds. That is the seed-bearing pteridophytes. Seed-bearing pteridophytes, or we know that this plants of the pteridophytes, they are commonly called as the ferns, non-flowering plants. So thus here, this first, let us see what is by these pteridosperms, and then we will see how these pteridosperms, they are supposed to be the probable ancestor of the angiosperm. So this actually, this pterido means pteridophyte, sperma means seeds, that is the seed bearing pteridophytes. Actually, the seeds, they are not formed in the pteridophytes, but this group of plants, it shows the presence of the gymnosperm like seeds and the pteridophyte like leaves, and that's why it is known as this group is known as the pteridosperm. And some paleobotanists they have suggested the pteridosperm as the probable ancestor of the angiosperm. Probable ancestors of the angiosperms. So this group, it shows the presence of the similar vascular histology and the nodal anatomy. Vascular histology and nodal anatomy. So that is the pteridosperm and the angiosperm both shows the vascular histology and nodal anatomy with amphiploic siphonostele and one trace and two gaps. One trace and two gaps. So if we see its structure, that is the vascular histology and nodal anatomy, you will observe that here it shows the structure like this. It shows the presence of the amphiploic siphonostele So here, this is the external phloem ring. This is the internal phloem ring or internal phloem. Here, this is the xylem. In the center, there is a presence of a pith. So this is the pith. And it shows the presence of the one trace. So this is the one trace. So this is the trace, and it shows the presence of the two gaps. It shows the presence of the two gaps. So thus here, according to some paleobotanists, this pteridosperm, it shows the presence of such type of vascular histology and nodal anatomy. That is, it is showing the amphiploic siphonostele. We know that siphonostele means there is the presence of the pith in the center. There is the presence of the xylem cylinder, and on the both sides of the xylem cylinders, there is a presence of the phloem cylinder. So the external phloem and internal phloem. And there is the presence of, this is one trace. Trace means vascular supply, and on the both sides the two gaps are present. So such type of similarities between the pteridosperm and the angiospermic plants, they were found, and so according to many paleobotanists, this pteridosperm it is suggested as the probable ancestor of the angiosperm. So this is the first proof or first evidence on the basis of which this Territorium it is suggested as the possible ancestor of the angiosperm. Then the second evidence it is suggested by the Indian scientist, that is Mrs. Plumstead. So this Mrs. Plumstead, so she is the Indian paleobotanist, and this Plumstead, she has suggested that she has studied the genus Glossopteris. She has studied the genus Glossopteris of the pteridosperms. So this pteridosperm, this group, it consists of the large number of fossils. Out of that, this Glossopteris, it is one of that. And Mrs. Plumstead, she has studied this Glossopteris, and she observed that the reproductive structure of this Glossopteris, it shows the presence of, so this reproductive structure, it is known as the cupule. So this cupule, it is produced from the leaves having a very long stalk. So this is the stalk, this is the lip, this is the midrib of lip, this is the petiole of lip, and this reproductive structure which is known as the cupule, so it shows the presence of the two halls. Actually, this reproductive structure which is known as the cupule, or also called as the sputum. So the sputum or this cupule, it is bisexual, it is ovate in shape, and it shows the presence of the two halls. The presence of the two halls and present at the terminal portion of the stalk. And this reproductive structure, it opens at the time of pollination. And when it opens at the time of pollination, all the pollen grains, they comes outside. These pollen grains, they are not winged. These pollen grains, they are like the pollen grains of the angiospermic plant, that is the magnolia. So we know that in the gymnospermic plant, say for example in case of the pinus, these pollen grains, if we observe, these pollen grains, these are winged. Such type of wings are present. So these are the wings. This is the pollen grain with wing, which is found in case of the pinus plant of the gymnosperm. Such type of pollen grains, they are not found in this reproductive structure of the Glossopteris. And the pollen grains, they look like the pollen grains of the magnolia. And thus here, according to Mrs. Plumstead, from the Glossopteris, like the pteridospermic plants, the magnolia-like angiospermic plants have been developed. And so, according to her, Glossopteris, which is the genus of the pteridosperm, is the probable ancestor of the angiosperm. So this is the second evidence on the basis of which the pteridosperm, it is suggested as the possible ancestor of the angiosperm. Now, important thing is that yet this Mrs. Plumstead, then some paleobotanists, they have suggested this pteridosperm as the possible ancestor of the angiosperm, but some paleobotanists, for example, Dr. Andrews. So this Dr. Andrews in 1947, so he is the American paleobotanist. And this, according to this Andrews, so he has studied the wood anatomy. He has studied the wood anatomy of the Glossopteris. So this wood anatomy of the Glossopteris, which is studied by Dr. Andrews, and he showed that this wood anatomy, it shows the presence of the tracheids. So these tracheids, they show the presence of the bordered pits. So there is a presence of the bordered pitted tracheids. Let us see what is meant by the border and what is meant by bordered pitted tracheid. So here it shows the presence of the pit, that is the pore, that is the pits or pores which are present on the wall of the tracheids, and these pits, these are bordered. Surrounding to it, there is a presence of the border, and that's why these tracheids, these are called as the bordered pitted tracheids. So thus here, this is border, and this is a pit. It is nothing but it is a opening, and such type of tracheids. So this is the trachid. It is known as the bordered pitted trachid. It is known as the bordered pitted trachid. And this bordered pitted trachid, it is the gymnospermic characters. This is the gymnospermic character. So as I told you that yet some paleobotanist, so Mrs. Plumstead has suggested the pteridosperm as the probable ancestor of the angiosperm, but there are some objections, like Dr. Andrews, as I told you, who is the American paleobotanist. According to him, these bordered pitted tracheids which are present in the wood anatomy of the Glossopteris is the gymnospermic character. And so, according to him, this pteridosperm, it is not the probable ancestor of the angiosperm. Now, according to the present day concepts or present opinions, the gap which is found in the pteridosperm and between the angiosperms, so this gap, it is very much more gap is present between the pteridosperm and angiosperms, and so we cannot directly say that from the pteridosperm, the angiosperms, they have been evolved on the earth's surface. We can't say the pteridosperms as the possible ancestors. Now, so thus if we observe, if we see the present day concept or the present opinion is that these pteridophytes, they have given rise to the gymnosperms, and from the gymnosperms, the angiosperms, they have been evolved. Pteridophytes, they have given rise to the gymnosperms. Gymnosperms have given rise to the angiosperms. So it is the sequence of evolution according to the present day knowledge, and this concept, it was worldwide accepted. And so according to many paleobotanists, these pteridosperms, they are not the direct ancestors of the angiosperms, and these similarities which were observed between the pteridosperms and some angiosperms, it suggests that it is the starting point of the angiosperm. We may call it as a starting point, but we can't say, or we can't accept that these are the probable ancestors of the angiosperms. So thus here, yet there are many paleobotanists, they have suggested the angiosperms as the pteridosperms as the probable ancestors of the angiosperms, but many paleobotanists like Andrews, other paleobotanists, according to them, we can't look this group as the direct ancestor of the angiosperm. So this group, that is this pteridospermic group, it has been developed in the Devonian period of the Paleozoic era. Later on, it became the dominant in the Carboniferous period, and then it became extinct in the Lower Triassic period. Actually, this is the period. So in the Lower Triassic period, this group, it was completely vanished from the Earth's surface. It means it became extinct, completely disappeared from the Earth's surface, get fossilized. And thus here, this is about this theory regarding the probable ancestors of the angiosperm, that is the pteridosperm theory, which is one of the probable ancestors of the angiosperm. So this is about this theory. I will stop here. Thank you very much.